Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
What do you think of Franco, Bob? What do you think of General Franco?
Okay, so in answer to the question of Franco. So, if you were a Christian in Civil War Spain, the only one that was defending you was Franco. The socialist communists in Spain slaughtered and massacred thousands of Christians. They were so filled with hatred against Christians that they even dug up dead bodies to shoot them. They desecrated Christian churches. They desecrated Christian relics. They shot at Christian symbols of statues of Mary, Jesus, and the cross. Now you tell me, brothers and sisters, if that is what you are up against, and the only reasonable group that is standing against those people was Franco, whose side would you join? I personally would have picked up a rifle and joined the legions of Franco against the communists. Why? Because I agree with fascism? No. Because I want to see a dictatorship? No. Because I believe in nationalism as a god, as the fascists do? No. But because to defend my brothers and sisters, the biggest threat would have been the communists. When the communists were defeated, I would then work against the nationalism of the fascists. Why? Because nationalism is idolatry, and we Christians can only serve one God, and the state can never be the God of the Christians. But in fascist ideology, everything serves the state, including the church and any religion. That is why it's idolatry, and that is why as a Christian I would have then worked against fascism.
Okay.
Next question, ladies and gentlemen.
No question.
Do you think Franco was a Christian?
From someone else. You've had a question. Next question from someone else.
I have a question. So how do you think how do you think the new laws which have been passed will, if they do, affect here? And will there be implications on that, do you think?
So the new sentencing guidelines that establish a racial and religious apartheid in this country that come into effect this week will not have a direct effect on Speaker's Corner, but they are going to affect anyone who sits in a court going forward. You will be treated more harshly by the British courts because you are white, or because you are white Christian because of these guidelines. How is that not bigotry? How is that not racism? And it happened on Labour's watch. And it also happened because too many of you who disagree with it are not politically active enough in pushing back against the Labour Party and its radical, fanatical, progressive, intersectional ideology. You need to wake up in this country, because whilst you are sleeping, a brood of vipers have captured the state and have prostituted the British state to serve an internationalist ideology. That's why we have MPs in this country whose constituencies are being piled up in garbage because of a lack of bin collection, have spent their time campaigning in the British Parliament for the British government to fund an airport in Pakistan, rather than trying to deal with the problems in Birmingham. Our state have been captured by an international lobby group. Forget nationalising the economy. We need to nationalise the British state. Next question. Go on, sir.
What people do disagree with this nationalisation or the internationalisation?
Sorry?
What can people who disagree with the sort of selling of the UK to the
Okay.
international market do?
So what can you do to oppose the internationalisation of the state apparatus by the progressive elites? You can all stop voting Labour. You can all stop voting Conservative. You can all stop voting Liberal Democrat. And you can vote for parties that commit themselves to the Christian idea of integralism. Let me explain what integralism is. It's a Christian political methodology for state governance. And it is the idea that the decision making and those making those decisions should live as close to the people that their decisions impact. That means an increase in the power of local government. It means that the state serves the people born in this country. How is it fair, ladies and gentlemen, that over 1 million illegal migrants are sitting on the benefit system and being propped up by your taxes and costing you £7 billion a year, when they have contributed nothing to the economy? They just arrived illegally, and their first act in this country was to break the law. Ask yourself, what would happen to you if you tried to enter the country without your passport? Would you be arrested? Would you be detained? Would you be prosecuted? So why aren't these illegal migrants? Why? Because looking after illegal migrants has been turned into a multi-billion-pound industry. Why? Because our international elites don't see themselves as accountable to you. They only see themselves as being accountable to their fellow international elites. So we must undermine these international elites economically, culturally, politically, and socially. That means campaigning for the end of the TV license, supporting parties that are not the traditional parties of this country, and creating a desire in our culture that our economy and our state should serve the people born here and the people contributing here. Next question.
Bob, what's the next stage for Rupert Lowe? Where does he go from here?
So, ladies and gentlemen, genuinely, as much as I do not like what Reform did to Rupert Lowe, Reform is still the only viable insurgent party in British politics.
Do you know the Homeland?
Reform has currency because more people who are not particularly interested in politics, like Nigel Farage. Those that are involved in politics know about the ins and outs of Nigel Farage's flip-flopping.
Mr. Brexit.
We must use Nigel Farage and the Reform Party as a battering ram to get as many insurgents into Parliament as possible. And then those insurgent MPs must become the tail that wags the dog. And when and if Nigel Farage does not go along with a Trumpian revolution against the liberal progressive establishment by replacing them completely, we simply replace Nigel Farage after Nigel Farage helps us win the election. And so the future for Rupert Lowe is to stand as an independent MP or to join a minority party like UKIP, or if he is a Christian, I would say join the Christian People's Alliance.
Rubbish.
Next question, ladies and gentlemen. Before I stop, I'll take one more question. Going once,
By a Christian party when it's not in the...
going twice.
Why, how can you justify a Christian party?
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final question. Have I heard of the Homeland Party? In passing, I've only heard it at a glance. I don't know anything about it. But what I heard was that they're an ethno-party. And if they are, and I'm not saying that they are, but if they are, everyone should steer clear of them. Because politics rooted in ethnocentrism is nothing but Nazism called by another name. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a break. If anyone wants to come talk to me one-to-one, now's your chance.
Well done.